Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's some bloke called David Corenswet. Who? That's right, we have a new Superman from James Gunn, creator of brilliant Guardians of the Galaxy. So let's talk a little bit about the new version of Superman, and is the film any good? And more importantly, can anybody do a gooder job as Christopher Reeve or Henry Cavill? Let's talk about it. Okay, so I have just come back from watching James Gunn's Superman at the IMAX. This is the first film in the new DCU. Forget about all that DCEU, that's long gone in the past. This is the new DCU. I think what they're trying to do now, they're trying to give us a fun side of DC, a comic book DC, because you got to admit some of those DCEU films were getting a bit dark and gloomy and depressing, and when the world is as depressing as it is at the moment, that's the last thing we want. So we need to spruce it up a bit, throw in some comedy, and just give us pages of a comic book on screen. Now, 1978 Superman is in fact my favourite comic book movie of all time. Christopher Reeve, my favourite Superman. That will never change. But there have been some pretty good Supermen over the years. Dean Cain, Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman, or New Adventures of Superman. Used to watch that all the time. Brandon Routh, he was actually a pretty good Superman, kind of trying to mimic the old Christopher Reeve. And at times it was kind of uncanny the way that he kind of looked a bit like Christopher Reeve, especially when he was in like Clark Kent guys. Then of course we had our boy Cavill. Yes, the man who was introduced as the Man of Steel in Man of Steel, and brought us a whole new side, if not a little bit darker and gloomier, of Superman. But his portrayal of Superman and Clark Kent was fantastic. I loved Man of Steel, one of my favourites, probably my favourite of the entire DCEU. Batman v Superman, not so much, but it's still an entertaining film. And now enter new boy on the block, David Corenswet. For a lot of people, they'll be saying, who? And I'm going to admit, he hasn't been in that much that I've actually seen. He had a small role in Twisters, but I think this was the way to go. Go for an actor that nobody knows, that hasn't been iconic in something else. And he really pulled it off. He was fantastic as Superman. There's not so much Clark Kent in this film. It takes a backseat. Yes, so the film is mainly about Superman. Well, the film's called Superman, isn't it? So why wouldn't you be about Superman? He injects a sense of adventure, a sense of fun. It can be serious at times, but there's a lot of comedic moments in it, a lot of great one-liners, not just from him, but also from the Justice Gang as well, headed up by Nathan Fillion. I love those guys. They could have their own film. We have Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. I'm not too familiar with a lot of her work, but she brought a bit of a feisty Lois, you know, someone who wasn't afraid to like just jump in and, you know, get her hands dirty. We also have some familiar characters, you know, such as the Daily Planet's, you know, editor, Perry White, and also Jimmy Olsen as well. But for every superhero, you have to have a supervillain. And of course, old Baldy's back. That's right, Lex Luthor. Now, this version of Lex Luthor is kind of an evil, more evil version. He doesn't really care what he does. He doesn't care who gets hurt in the way, as long as he can kill Superman, and Superman is just straight in his eyesight. Nothing else matters. So he'll do anything to try and take Superman down. But even though Gene Hackman was a brilliant Lex Luthor, who could be evil at times, he always played it suave. But hey, we're leaving one character out. Yes, he's got 4 legs. Krypto. I didn't know if this would work. A flying dog with a cape. Loved it. Fantastic. I'm not a dog person. I'm a cat person. But Krypto will steal your heart. He is just, as they say, man's best friend. Is that being a bit sexist now? I don't know. He was just zipping around the screen, and he didn't know his own strength, of course, so he's jumping here, jumping there. But when he takes to the sky there, you've never seen a flying dog, have you? Yes, so he was in the film quite a lot, actually. I was surprised how much they used him. We've got threats from like the military, we've got threats from Lex Luthor, and we've got otherworldly threats as well, without going too much into it. So there's a lot of action, a lot of CGI work, there's some end of the world type of stuff, but special effects and explosions aside, if a character can't bring that character to the screen and be believable, then you've lost the story. And for me, David Corenswet really is Superman. He was born to play this role. You know, I was like, a load of other people were like, okay, we've seen him in the trailer with, you know, his cross eyes and all that kind of stuff. You got the Cavill lovers out there that were like, no, David Corenswet, go away. We love the Snyder Cavill and all that kind of stuff. But I've got to say, he was fantastic. Absolute fantastic. The heart and the soul of this film. He could bring real comedy and lovability to it. And I feel like I've been watching him for years. It's a strange feeling that, okay, it was a little bit to get started, you know, to get used to. But like 20 minutes or so into the film, it's like, okay, yeah, he's Superman. He's Clark Kent, he's Superman. So what? It's like, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's just, I've been watching him for a long time. 20 minutes. And he just feels right. He feels so right doing this film. So the people behind the casting, well done. Yeah. And Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, I thought was brilliant as well. He really is a more evil Lex than we've had before. The music is great as well. Not your so-called orchestral score all the way through, like a John Williams score, although John Williams' theme is there. It's kind of more of a guitar rocky kind of soundtrack. But I think it fits. I think it fits the film. There are also a couple of cameos in the film as well, and 2 that were very interesting and yeah, kind of like evoked giggles from the audience, and also a couple of end credit scenes. There was a mid credit scene and an end credit scene as well. Nothing extraordinary. It's not like what they did with the MCU where they set up the next film, because it worked so well for Eternals, didn't it? Having that end scene at the end with old Harry Styles. Whatever happened to that? Yeah, so it's kind of just a little bit of kind of like added comedy, very small scenes. So there we go. That is Superman. I am going to go and see it again tomorrow in 3D, because I've heard the 3D is fantastic. I did watch it in IMAX. It used the full ratio of the IMAX screen, So, you know, massive, massive screen. The sound was awesome as well. Vibrate in the chairs. It looked fantastic. And everybody had a great time with it. My audience was actually quite full, considering it was a lunchtime on a weekday when, you know, people were at work and kids were at school. But I think a lot of people wanted to get out of the oppressive heat that we've now got again. Unfortunately, there was a sign on the door saying, unfortunately, the air conditioning in the IMAX is not working at the moment. Thankfully, though, it was still a bit cool in there. It didn't get too hot. But there is a sellout performance on the Friday night tonight at 7 o'clock. So you know what they say, more people, more bodies, more heat. So if they don't get the air conditioning fixed by 7 o'clock tonight, I think it's going to get a little bit toasty in there. But anyway, they are my thoughts for Superman from James Gunn. Absolutely loved it. For me, so far, film of the year. And I'm going to give this one 10 out of 10 with a sprinkling of Krypto in there as well. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like it by giving it some thumbs up. Bob! Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. I'll see you on the next video very soon. I'm just going to show you a couple of bits of Superman cinema merch that I've picked up from Cineworld and also View, just so you can get an idea of what stuff is out there. And until the next video, bye bye.